Hello everyone, I'm Breor and welcome back to Goodgame Empire. In today's video, I would like to share with you a bunch of helpful tips that don't quite need their own videos. Some of these tips may be obvious for more experienced players, but there's always a chance you won't know one or two of them. In the interest of not wasting your time, timestamps and brief descriptions of all of these tips have been added to the video description, so you can check there to see if there'll be anything in this video you don't already know. I've done a video like this once before, so I would encourage you to go check that one out for more tips after you're done here. With all of that being said, let's jump right into the video. Tip number 1. If you've ever captured an outpost from another player, you are probably very familiar with the fact that many buildings are turned to rubble during this process. This creates additional work for the new owner of the outpost to repair and rebuild, sometimes to the point of taking away from the purpose of the exchange. You can prevent buildings from being destroyed in outpost captures by lighting them on fire first. Buildings which are damaged before the capture attack lands will not be turned to rubble. The buildings you don't want destroyed need to be fully damaged at 100%, or they may turn to rubble, although you don't need to worry about towers. This tip is great for low-level players who would be unable to rebuild high-level buildings in the outposts they capture, especially given that undamaged high-level buildings are quite likely to be destroyed. One can sabotage the target outpost to start fires, but it will be necessary to attack it to achieve complete immolation. If you aren't high enough in level to have large armies yet, which will cause lots of damage, consider enlisting the help of a stronger friend who owns a fire commander. Tip number 2. You might be surprised to learn that there are valid uses for gems that aren't courtyard gems. When it comes to commanders, consider using flank space gems to minimize your losses against non-player targets. Adding flank space gems to either the 5-piece Armor of the Foreign Warlord set or the 5-piece Treasures of the Savannah set will give you a very solid commander for handling targets like the samurai or nomad camps. This is because one does not often face many defenders in the courtyard of NPC camps and towers, so courtyard gems don't have much of a positive effect. Flank space gems are less useful against watchtowers in Barrowmond, but in my experience, they will be a big boon for dealing with desert warriors and cultists. The defenses of max-level Burning Sands and Fire Peaks towers are such that players should attack them only on the flanks. When it comes to castellans, wall space gems can be just as useful as courtyard gems, depending upon the application. Remember that the attacker will receive a 30% combat strength bonus in the courtyard if the defender is unable to hold at least one section of the wall. When combined with existing bonuses from the commander, this can be devastating. Thus, the importance of holding at least one section of the wall during every defense cannot be over-exaggerated. For defending against some powerful attacks, it will be necessary to have additional troops on the wall. If you have multiple solid 5-piece commander sets, consider turning one into a courtyard defender, one into a wall space defender, and one into a gate defender. Tip number 3. Speaking of defending your gate, in despite of the infamous recent gems update, there are still some unintentional combinations of unique equipment that will give you overpowered stats on the defense. If you own either the 5-piece Winter Castellan or the 5-piece Spring Castellan, and at least 2 gems from the Kala Castellan set, this custom combination is for you. Provided you don't use the same gem twice, adding any 2 Kala gems will grant you either additional troops on the wall or additional courtyard combat strength. If you choose to apply Kala's third eye or Kala's left eye, it is important to note that you will not benefit from the increased troop combat strength. You will, however, get a ton of additional gate protection from the 2-piece set bonus. The resulting Castellan, the stats of which I'll put up on the screen now, will put up one heck of a defense if used properly. If you're missing a few of the necessary pieces to compose the set, such as the Kala gems, you can still buy them from the Apprentice Blacksmith if you hurry. This guy will be removed from the game sometime next month. Tip number 4. If you haven't already, consider constructing the Willow of Experience and/or the Glory Memorial in your castle. These buildings are intended to be built by big spenders only, but by my judgment, the first levels are worth it. Constructing the Glory Memorial will give you 200 public order and an additional 5% glory points in the Great Kingdom. If you are an active player who participates in the Foreign and Bloodcrow invasions, you will probably find this helpful. At 7,500 rubies, this is an expensive purchase. Upgrading the Glory Memorial once, which is just as expensive, will give you no additional public order and only 2% more glory points. If you choose not to construct the Glory Memorial, you might be interested in the Willow of Experience, because the first level of it will give you 10% additional experience on all of the things you do in the game. Again, it's just my opinion that the first level of these buildings is worth it, but your opinion might be different. Tip number 5. You probably know looks as the items that can be used to change the appearance of your castle or an army on the world map, but they can also have a real impact upon the combat strength of your troops. How? Well, you can apply gems to them. Let's say you have somehow obtained 5 level 12 Courtyard Commander gems, each of which gives you plus 22% Courtyard combat strength. If you add these gems and a look to the armor of the Foreign Warlord set, you would get a commander with plus 147% Courtyard combat strength. I've never seen such a high number in the game, but I think that's because people don't own level 12 Courtyard Commander gems. I know for a fact that they do apply gems to their looks. Looks are items that expire after a certain amount of time, and with the expiration of the look comes the loss of the gem. But right now in the game, gem removal can be done for free. If you want to make the most of your look, you can sell it for coins right before it expires too. The number of coins one receives for selling a look is not dependent on how much time is remaining. Don't have any looks right now? At the time of making this video, the Thorn King event is running in the game, and you can actually buy a Castellan look as one of those rewards. Tip number 6. A bunch of you have spotted that I have a considerable number of tools between all of my castles, and have wanted me to make a video about tool production, but I think I can fit all that needs to be said into one quick tip. I'm always producing mantlets in my outer kingdom, where resources such as stone and wood are never a problem. I loot all of the stone and wood I need from nearby towers. When the samurai or nomads are around, and it's easy to get stone and wood and green, I produce mantlets in my outpost and main castle as well. I don't produce tools in green when the foreigners or bloodcrows are present, since they don't give out resources as easily. Whenever the battle for Barremond appears, I ship all of my mantlets to my campaign camp, because doing so is free. When Barremond ends, all of the tools one stores at one's campaign camp are returned to one's main castle automatically and for free. I thus save millions of coins doing this, and end up with tons of mantlets in green. I don't use any mantlets in the Outer Kingdoms, because I've maxed out my towers there, and attacking them doesn't require mantlets. I never produce wooden ladders, but I do use a lot of them. I purchase them for coins at the armorer, because I think doing so is economical. I haven't had to care about wooden rams in a long time, and thus neither purchase nor produce those at the moment. When it comes to ruby and event tools, I have no idea how I have accumulated so many, but I do know that I don't purchase them with rubies. I suppose they come from the many gifts you guys send my way, as well as the event rewards myself and my alliance accumulate. Thanks for that, by the way. I look for ruby defense tools in the mercenary post and spend coins to acquire them. This habit leaves me with plenty of murder holes and arrow slits. I do sometimes purchase fire motes with rubies because I haven't found any other ways of getting them, and they are crucial for solid defenses. Throwing nails and or lime bombs are also important to have on hand, and I purchase them with my samurai and nomad points respectively. I try to always have VIP mode running, since that gives me extra slots with which to produce tools. Tip number 7. If you frequently move between alliances, or are planning to temporarily visit another one soon, this tip is for you. Securing an invite to an alliance can be difficult, because you might not know who is online, especially if you aren't in that alliance. When you drop out of your alliance to go visit the other one, have a person you know who is online send you an invite back to your original alliance. If you put this invitation into the archive, you will be able to use it later to return to your original alliance without needing to beg somebody for an invite. Alright ladies and gentlemen, that's all I'm giving out for free today, so I hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to see more quick tips, please consider clicking on the box on the upper left of your screen to visit the first quick tips compilation that I did sometime last year. I'm going to go back to making more new content for the channel. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Breor, and I'll see you in the next video.